So I've been told this very interesting thing that apparently only white people are able to be racist and every other race is exempt from being racist because apparently they're the only groups who've been oppressed. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys like the video as much as possible. Hit the notification bell so that you're notified when one of my new videos come out, and let's get into the video.
Can only white people be systemically racist in Philly, would you say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no. I mean, well, yes. Yes, because of what I said earlier. Yes, only white people. Yep.
I feel like white people did kind of create racism, so. But I don't know if I could
create racism just in the world?
Yeah.
You don't gotta be white, black, or like, you know, anything. You could be purple and you could be racist.
What is going on, everyone? James Klug here. Over the last decade, the woke left has redefined the word racism such that only white people can be racist in America. So can only white people be racist?
Apparently.
Today I'm in Philadelphia to find out. Let's go talk to some people. Can only white people be racist?
Ooh. Oh dear God, that's that type of question.
I would say probably due to systematic reasons.
I want to say yes.
Yes. Okay. No, but they primarily are.
Right, okay.
Nah, hell no.
No.
It's a very, very controversial question.
It's not that bad. You
Where
say
is
no.
this gonna go?
Yeah. YouTube.com.
Holy
You can answer that one.
No.
No. No.
What do you think?
Anybody racist. And anybody could be racist.
True.
Racists don't have a color.
I feel like just about everybody could be racist.
Everyone's capable of being a jerk and discriminating based on race.
Yeah.
Everybody can be racist if they really want to.
When you think about what happened to our ancestors for 400 years, you could say yes.
I am really tired of this whole trope of when you think of what happened to our ancestors as if black people are the only people who have gone through some type of slavery or some type of discrimination. It really shows how ignorant you are to think that, well, because black people have experienced this type of thing, as if black people are the only ones who have experienced this type of thing, therefore for some reason specifically only white people can be racist and then every other race can't be racist based on the fact that you face discrimination. Not even you specifically, possibly even your people face discrimination at a specific point in history, and because of that you can't be racist. Now, as I've said before, I possibly have the average IQ, but that is just pure stupidity.
I feel like black people only think because, you know, what they went through when they call people and all that, excuse my French, I'm black, so, you know, but, you know, like, they feel like they the ones only entitled to racism.
You could say white people could only be racist, but then at the end of the day, when you go through some of the shit that you go through here with like everybody, it's just like everybody has a little bit of racism in them, not just white people.
I think that prejudice exists no matter what race you are, but when we're talking about racism, that's a white people thing.
Why do you say so?
Because white people are the problem.
I actually don't know my feelings on it because I feel like white people did kind of create racism, so. But I don't know if I could
create racism just in the world?
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Racism was created by white people.
There's not vitriol and hatred for like specific groups of people that are just perpetuated by white people, although I would say that white people are probably the main perpetuators of that.
Right. You think in the world, or you're just saying in the United States?
In the world and in the United States.
So why are white people the problem?
Because they just think they're better than everybody else. I don't know.
I don't think it's dependent on what your race is. I think some people weirdly can be racist against their own race.
I'm African American. African American is racist against their own African American people.
How do you see that in your view?
I don't like some African Americans.
I think it depends more on like who is directing the racism towards, who it's being directed towards.
Like Puerto Ricans and Mexicans or Chinese and Japanese.
There's Hispanic people and there's Asian people.
White race, there's black race, there's Hispanics, Chinese people, Cuban people,
Filipino, Arab.
And there's Indian people. White and black are not the only two races on this planet.
You don't gotta be white, black, or like, you know, anything. You could be purple and you could be racist.
So obviously, white people can't only be racist because they're their own race. So you can obviously be racist towards them too.
It's cultured by environment.
For sure.
So if you look at children that grow up
in diverse neighborhoods, they don't have an inherited sense of racism. It's something that's inbred and taught. So anybody can be taught to hate somebody.
I've been in places where I've seen Caucasian people get discriminated against right away. I've been in places
Asians, Hispanics,
all of these things. I've been in places where I've seen these things happen, but they had to learn this from somewhere.
You can mold children into whatever you want them to be.
Exactly.
White people have a systemic advantage over any other racial group, and so in that sense, white people are the only group capable of enacting racism.
See, I'm the type of person who likes to do a lot of thinking, and I like to do a lot of thinking on behalf of the low IQ individuals on this planet. But if we were to use that logic, and let's say we go to a country somewhere in Africa, we can use that same logic and apply to a country in Africa where the majority is African and the systematic powers in that country are African people. So then if you apply that logic to that specific country we're talking about in Africa, and you can use any country you want, it would then be the case to follow your logic to its logical conclusion that if you were to go to Africa, white people can't be racist to people in Africa because of the fact that the people in that country in Africa hold a systematic power. But hey, that's just my thoughts as someone who has the average IQ.
They all derive from something. It just wasn't something people were born with. It had to be learned. It had to be taught.
Where did you learn your definition of racism?
Sociology classes.
Yeah.
I majored in sociology in college. I just graduated.
Right. Do you mind if I ask you, could you define racism for me, or at least do your best?
Hating another person or a group of people based upon what they look like, what color their skin is, what part of the world they come from.
You have folks that do have power, privilege, things of that nature, and if they are able to kind of suppress anyone that doesn't have power due to discrimination of color and race, I think that's racism.
I was not prepared to be quizzed right now.
Discrimination against another.
Institutionalized racism.
Thinking you're better than anybody else because of the color of your skin or where you were born, or yeah.
If you're filled with hate and you're hating based on skin color, you're a racist.
I agree with that.
So dictionary.com, the classic definition essentially that's been the definition for a while has just been, you know, the belief that one race is superior or inferior to another, and or discrimination based on race.
Okay.
So, is any race capable of that or no?
I think anyone's capable of feeling superior over others.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I feel like every race is capable of it.
Now you mentioned power. Where did you get that definition from? Like, where did you learn that from?
So I think that, let's say my child, right? Does he have power over me in some sense? Can he stop me from getting a job or anything like that? I don't think he can.
I think historically speaking, it is unlikely that any other race other than white people are capable of actually oppressing others, thereby...
Because of the percentage of them, is that what we're looking at?
It's a majority thing. It's also it's just a power thing. It's a wealth inequality thing. It's just the cards are stacked against other races from being able to do that.
I really despise when it's a white man talking like this and you can hear the estrogen in his voice and you can just see it. And I really despise when it's a white man like this who just throws every white person under the bus because of the fact that he wants to be that guy and he wants the white knight for all the other races. I absolutely despise it, and this is part of the reason as to why a lot of Western countries are being destroyed, because of people with a mindset like this.
The global system of white supremacy has white people at the top and black people at the bottom.
Because white people have the power, have had the power in this country specifically. Right. And racism is different where you're talking about the United States racism versus in other countries. In other countries, it's mostly like colorism.
I think an important distinction is between racism and prejudice. Anyone is capable of prejudice, which is an action, but racism is systemic. Racism is people enacting power over other people.
You have folks that do have power, privilege, things of that nature, and if they are able to kind of suppress anyone that doesn't have power due to discrimination of color and race, I think that's racism.
I just feel that the word racism has lost its meaning, or has changed its meaning from when I was young, we were young.
In Philly, who can be racist here?
No one's allowed to be racist, in my opinion.
Can only white people be systemically racist in Philly, would you say?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no. I mean, well, yes. Yes, because of what I said earlier. Yes, only white people. Yep.
It's majority black population in Philly?
It is. Yep. Yes.
So still only white people can be racist in Philly, though?
Yeah, because again, it's not, to me, it's not a majority, solely a majority issue. It's because there's more black people here, but when you look at who the rich people are, when you look at who's in control of all the systems and everything, we do have a black mayor, the first black mayor in the history of this entire city, so it's like, doesn't look great, you know?
You can see him crumbling and fumbling when his own definition of racism was applied to the very situation in Philly, and for some reason it's still only white people who can be racist. How very convenient that their definitions don't even work in their own scenarios.
Right. Philly, we have a black mayor. Does that make a difference there or no?
Representation is worthwhile to some degree, but having one black person at the top of a certain power also, well, okay, let me step back, because being the mayor doesn't actually mean that you have the most power in the city.
There's a Hispanic police commissioner, so not white, I guess. Majority of city council's black. So who can be racist? Who is capable of being racist in Philly?
I think that it's hard, because the institution of racism is also more complicated than who's doing it. So there are even people who, based on being around like white supremacist ideologies, enact harmful things against their own communities, even if they are a black leader or a Latino leader. So it's complicated, because I still think at the end of the day it is.
You're thinking maybe they could espouse those ideologies potentially for I don't know who you're talking, maybe the police commissioner. I don't know if you would say that. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's what I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible for people to do things that are harmful to their own communities because of things they've been fed by like white supremacist narratives, which happen to like rule a dominant majority of like media.
Let's say there's a homeless person, right? The homeless person's white. A black man wearing a suit is walking by. The homeless man calls that black man, you know what, the N-word. He says that. Is that homeless man, that white homeless man, incapable of being racist because of his position, where maybe a more successful black man walking by isn't capable of racism?
And that's
in that situation.
Well, that's tricky, right? Because the history of, derogatory terms comes from a place where there were powerful individuals that, again, kept people down. So using that, I don't even want to call it a word, but what the white person says to the black person is attached to a historical aspect. So even though currently the scenario isn't, homeless person is homeless, it's still attached. Right. The concept comes from a historical point where things were flipped.
Yeah, I don't have any more comments on that. That's enough internet for today. Make sure you guys like the video as much as possible. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so that you get notified when one of my videos come out. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and X at YinkaThatGuy, and I'm out.